until it's me, the one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. Now, another week goes by, another week of AFL footy is done and dusted. The Saints' week off is finally over. Brisbane, what happened there? Now, why am I referencing Brisbane? Is there any particular reason? Because guess who's back? Kayla, welcome back.
Hello, thanks Scoops for having me again.
No worries, anytime. Now, you know, it was a perfect week for you when you made your debut. And now this is probably then last week we had got the win and get it over with type thing, move on. Then this week, you lost, but in a different fashion. I feel like where you feel like you had so many opportunities, and you even travelled to SA to watch that in those conditions and have about 10, 11 chances in the last 10 minutes and then stuff it up. How do you assess all that, just in summary?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to, I know that we should have played better than what we did, but the weather down there was horrible. We were walking to Adelaide Oval, and it was pouring rain to the point where the wind was actually blowing us away, and so it was really strong as well. So just imagine playing in that as well. Just wouldn't have been nice. But in saying that, yes, we choked. We were winning the entire game, and yeah, we choked. I got no comment in regards to who played better, who didn't play, etc. But yeah, I was disappointed. Adelaide is my second team, so I was happy for them. But then at the same time, I was like, nah. Regardless, the Lions are my first. Yeah.
You can't really have second teams, can you? Or more of a soft spot be the right word, or?
Nah, I'd say second team. Purely for the fact that I don't mind them, and I think because they're similar colours to the Lions as well. And they're more of they're a good culture club compared to some of the other clubs.
Yeah, fair enough. And I know you being from Queensland that you love the Lions and seem to have had a little bit of a surprise soft spot for Gold Coast in a way, or at least with some topics anyway. And then you've said on here as well, or at least to me you have, that you got a soft spot for the interstate sides because of the quote-unquote to you, Vic bias. So it's not a full shock that you have a second team that's interstate club. More so that they're more of a second team more than a soft spot. But it is what it is. Everyone's got their ways and everything like that. Now, we had a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into the thick of things and detail that Brisbane game again in a bit more detail shortly. So we've got obviously my team of the week. We've got my Supercoach Talk as well. Now, Scoops goes Banks to be an explosive one. I've just hinted to you, Kayla, what we're going to bring up on it. It's going to involve Tom Stewart. It's going to involve Sam Durham suspension and everything else in between all that. Obviously, my team of the week is always heavily debated. And again, you've had a brief look at it as well. I'm going to go through, obviously, the games that just happened on the weekend and preview the upcoming games and some general footy news in between all that. So, by the way, before we start off with this, if you know any AFL, AFLW players, any state league players, and you'd like to see them on the channel in a Gold King Challenge and or interview, please do send me a message on Instagram, AFL Info Live, and we'll try and get something sorted. All right, Kayla, it's time. We're not holding back here. It is time for that world famous check the analytics segment. Scoops goes bang. Boom. All right, so another week, another Geelong player being protected. I'd say I'm not shocked. It's been happening for so long. As far as I've been watching footy, they've always been protected. Now, honest enough, I understand, and I'm not stupid, that he did not get a suspension. He didn't even get fined. Now, I am fully aware, I have eyes, that he did not hit Noah Anderson in the head. I was not surprised they let him off, not just because it's Geelong, because of the way they operate the AFL. But what I didn't like is their post-game statement saying, or the AFL's reasoning as to why he wasn't sanctioned in any way, was they said he had his eyes on the ball the entire time. That is complete and utter rubbish. He lined up Noah Anderson, Tom Stewart from a mile away, and I guarantee you, if he was centimetres higher, not only would he have knocked him out, he would have copped X amount of weeks. they keep saying you don't wait for the outcome before you penalise someone. You wait. They wait for the outcome, and then they go, oh, yeah, we'll suspend them. Then I thought they had slowly turned a corner with this Alex Pearce one a few weeks ago, and there was someone else last week where they didn't base it off the outcome. They suspended them or didn't suspend them off what happened. I thought, okay, they've done a few instances where they've finally done something different. And now they've reverted back to the old bullshit excuses because they said he was contesting the ball. He had eyes on the ball. Last time I checked, he never looked at the ball and beelined Noah Anderson from a mile away, and he was centimetres away from knocking him out cold. And now he didn't suffer broken ribs. But like we've always said, you do not wait for the outcome to penalise someone. It's the action that they actually do. And in that case, that was described as a dirty act from myself because he's also got a track record, Tom Stewart, of doing this. And it's not his first time doing it when he cleaned out Dion Prestia for Richmond a few years back in the final series or something like that. So he's got a track record of these incidents, and I am just sick of it. It is blatant cheating in a way because Geelong are the most protected club in the competition. Where does Tom Stewart play for? Geelong, and he didn't get suspended. Kayla, I don't know where I got Chloe from. Kayla, what are your thoughts on that Tom Stewart non-suspension, non-fined, thrown out incident?
I don't know. The umpires have just been absolutely rubbish across like the whole weekend, and I mean across the whole year. To be honest, they've just got their favourite teams, and that's about it. And everyone else has to suffer. Yeah.
So, did you see the Noah Anderson incident?
I did, but yeah, he was in fault. Like he should have probably gotten at least a sanction. Because obviously he didn't knock him out, but like same as like the Sam Durham incident, he didn't knock him out, but he's still suspended.
Yeah, exactly. Which we're going to get to that one in a second. It just doesn't make any sense because the statement, Kayla, that pissed me off with the AFL is in the bit where they didn't sanction him for XYZ reasons, then had the balls to say that he had his eyes on the ball. He never looked at the ball once. He looked at Noah Anderson and lined him up. So that just makes it even worse of a reason as to why he should have been suspended, and further proves my point that Geelong are protected because that sentence, if they had tried to twist it some other way, I would have said bullshit, but at least technically it makes sense, but I don't buy that crap. But that doesn't actually make sense either, that he had his eyes on the ball, because he didn't. If he had the eyes on the ball, he would never have smashed into Anderson like that, and he would have had the ball in his hand or something like that. It's just ridiculous. Now, actually, I'm going to stick to Geelong for just a second before we get to Sam Durham, because I forgot to bring this to you pre-stream, so it's going to come to a surprise to you. Bailey Smith. So he did not play this week for quote-unquote a hamstring injury, right? Now, people will say, oh, are you blind? You did a fitness test on the ground. Well, that's what Geelong probably wants you, or not so much Geelong, more so the AFL wants you to believe. Now, apparently, he had a secret meeting in Torquay down here in Geelong at his house with Andrew Mackey, Steve Hocking, who are both Geelong people and employees, and Steve Hocking used to work at the AFL, just remember that one, and Andrew Dillon, the AFL CEO. Very conveniently, after the game last week, the last game that Geelong played prior to this Gold Coast game, Bailey Smith said after the game, quote unquote, I'm all good. I'm fine to play because they had a hamstring issue. So you either the AFL is calling Bailey Smith a liar or the AFL are. And I think I know which one I'll believe over the AFL. Anyway, so he conveniently had a meeting on Thursday for comments he makes online, like abusing people, calling people, you know what, and everything. Like, I think it's been childish when he's done it, and I've said it at the time, and I'll say it again. So conveniently he has a meeting about that, and then that's on the Thursday. So I think that's around the times the teams were published. So, and then he's conveniently laid out on the Saturday when he said himself he was fine to play. Now, obviously, he can get injured in any point in time, but he did a fitness test. But I feel like that fitness test, he was never playing off the back of them silently suspending him for a week for the on-screen comments he's made online, because he's done it weeks upon weeks, and he got the middle finger at the games a few times and abusing people like Gray at the games, and etc. So I thought it was a whole combination of things, right? But I feel like this so-called fitness test on the ground Saturday was just an excuse to try and make gullible people, like a lot of people I've seen online, particularly Geelong supporters, can't be shocked, that they wanted to suspend him. They didn't want to make a big deal about it, the AFL it is, right? And say, oh, we've suspended him, because then they know what's going to happen. The people are going to go, what the hell for, blah, blah, blah. Then the AFL's going to get more backlash on top of what they already got. So they had this meeting. It got leaked. So now it looks worse for them, because then he had the fitness test. Basically what I'm getting at is I think that fitness test wasn't a real fitness test. They wanted him to go to the ground and make gullible people like Geelong fans believe he was a laid out due to hamstring awareness, like Geelong said. And I think he was never playing, because think about it. If he wasn't playing, like if he was a late out and never attended the ground, is he really a laid out? Then they're going to draw more suspicion to the fact that, oh, must have been something from that meeting had been said. That's why he got suspended. And then once the report came out that he was for off-field incident or social media comments, which, as I just said, what they were, well, they were swearing and everything like that, and then the middle finger and everything like that. So you know what it's about. But then he doesn't play, because I feel like had he not attended the game and not been in the public eye, they're going, oh, yeah, he's doing the test. Because if he didn't do the test, then what are people going to draw back to? Oh, hang on, he had a meeting with the AFL. Gee, he must have got suspended, did he? So they tried to cover their bases to make it look a bit better by having him physically there doing a fitness test. And I'm not saying he didn't do one. He obviously did. But the intention was he was never going to play. They got him out there just so they can use that reason as an excuse, because then they'll point back to he'd done the test. So yeah, that's what I think about that, Kayla. It's an interesting one with Bailey Smith in terms of the meeting it on its own. What did you make of the meeting he's had, and do you think he was silently warned or suspended or fined or whatever?
I definitely know something happened, because you don't just like I watched like the part where he like went over to one of the trainers and was like pointing at his hamstring, and I was like, this is really odd. And then I saw like parts because I didn't fully I saw some of the game, but I saw like the parts where he was sitting on the bench and he was on his phone, and I was like, like he definitely knew he was not playing. So definitely, I reckon it's either been silently suspended or just been like they've warned him and whatnot, because they're trying to protect him for Brownlow.
Yes, yeah, I mean, this is just one of 50,000 examples I've given over time about Geelong being protected. Now, well, I don't know why. I feel like he was suspended, because why did they randomly meet him? All these comments he made were like weeks ago. The middle finger thing was like, what, a month ago? So, yes, even if it's a culmination of things, to what we see, he hadn't done anything else last week. So why didn't it happen last week? This is what I mean. It just doesn't feel standard. And like one of the, I don't know if it was a journal or one of the commentators on Fox or whatever, how come he was meeting with them, the AFL personally went to his house? So they're going to go, is Andrew Dillon going to go to everyone's house personally that he's going to suspend or want to have a discussion with? I had some typical Geelong fan try saying, oh, they were just having a friendly catch-up. Oh, bullshit. Friendly catch-up, yeah. The AFL CEO's got plenty of time to take the piss and go meet players individually at their house. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a load of crap.
And the club officials were there too. Remember the CEO and everything like that. But yeah, it's just a catch-up, a friendly catch-up rubbish. If it was such a friendly catch-up, there's a thing called a phone, and you can call them. You don't have to drive an hour and a half to have a friendly catch-up when you're the AFL CEO, when you've got a lot of other problems that you need to fix, and you're just catching up for Bailey Smith. Very convenient. And then, of course, he doesn't play this week. Had he played this week, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation or this part to it, the suspicion part. Well, the AFL stuffed up again. What a shock. Now, back to Sam Durham. Now, people... I had some extreme comments people say about this, Kayla. They were telling me that, now, first of all, glad Adam Cherry's all right. Just want to make that clear, because the other people that I mentioned this to said anything, I didn't care as much about that, but that's wrong. People are trying to tell me that Adam Cherry, and I'm not saying he couldn't have, but it's an extreme assumption to say that they thought off that incident from Durham, he could have got paralysed. Now, that's the words they use, not me. Now, you can unfortunately cop a bad, serious neck injury or something like that from any bump or anything like that. So, I mean, I think it was a bit exaggerated to say that. Now, this is far worse. No, this isn't as bad as Tom Stewart's one. As you mentioned earlier, outcome based, right? Neither got knocked out, and the suspensions are different. Was it a free kick to Cherrett? Yes. Was it a free kick to Noah Anderson? Yes. And by the way, Noah Anderson didn't get a free kick for the Tom Stewart one. Another reason why they're protected. So to compare the two, they're basically the same thing. In fact, I could argue that Tom Stewart was far more dangerous, and he got nothing and not even fined, and Durham got 2. I even had some people go overboard and say that Cherrett should have got more than 2, and that he's lucky. Lucky? I think he's been screwed. What do you think of this, Kayla? It's another throw at the stumps. What do you think about this one?
So I was watching it, and that tackle, Sam Durham was actually doing a correct tackle, and like he was going in, and obviously Chera was like going in as well, but he wasn't doing the correct technique. So like I was reading a lot of the comments, and it was all technique based, and I feel like both eyes were on the ball. There was no they weren't being malicious or anything. They were just simply like both going for the ball. So I feel like Sam definitely did not deserve a suspension on that. Yes, it was dangerous, and like I'm glad that Adam is okay, but it shouldn't have been a suspension for that.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't get it. The inconsistencies with the AFL, that is just one of many. Well, we've had more than one this weekend alone. So, but yeah, so that is the world famous segment. Scoops goes bang. Right now, we're going to move on to the heavily debated team of the week. You've had a quick glance at it. What are your first impressions before I reveal it to everyone?
Yeah, good. I'm glad that there's barely any Lions players in there. Sorry, boys. But, yeah, we didn't deserve it this week.
Now, that's fair enough. All right, let's go. So, from the back line, the pockets, Jeremy Howe and Mark Keane. Full back, Jack Buckley. Half back line, the flankers, Josh Dacos and Nick Blakey. Centre half back, Sam Taylor. Wingers, Nick Martin and Colby McKercher. Centreman, Max Holmes. Half forward line, the flankers, Ben Keys and Jack Ginnivan. Centre half forward, Marbiol Chol. Forward pockets, Josh Rochelle and Tyson Stengel. Full forward, Peter Wright. Ruck, Tom De Koning. Rovers, Tom Green and Zach Butters. Interchange, Liam Baker, Harry Edwards, Will Ashcroft, Matt Kennedy, Caleb Daniel and Jasper Fletcher. And then the emergencies, Bailey Dale, Blake Akers, Tom Stewart, Jai Simpkin and Sam Walsh. I've just realised something, Kayla. I've just looked at this, and while reading that bench, I realised something. Can you notice anything on the bench that I've done? Normally, just have a count of them. Count of the names on the bench, and everyone watching, count the bench. I've accidentally named 6 players when I should have had 5.
You have, yeah.
I have. So, this is the what I just say. This is going to be one of those weeks where I'll just go extra. I'll have an extra player in there. Why not? And to be honest, I couldn't even split this bench. It was too hard. So, I mean, all those guys on the emergencies, I mean, I really wanted to fit them all in, but you just can't fit everyone in. And there's no one that's in this team that deserves to be dropped. So, now let me go through the reasons. Now, first off, Kayla, Will Ashcroft, Jasper Fletcher, you said before about no lines really deserving it. They were probably, though, individually, 2 of your better players.
Yeah, I agree.
It will just continues to go well, and Jasper had another good game in the back half and had a good years too. So, Jeremy Howe, he had 26 possessions and absolutely did a number on the Melbourne forwards. Mark after mark. Jeremy Howe's known for great marking. 26 possessions for, I don't know, do you describe him as a key defender? Because he plays on talls, but he plays on smalls and any size forward. So I don't know if you want to class him as a key defender, but a utility defender, and he's a bloody good one at that. Jack Buckley, he had like 14, what is it? Oh, yeah, intercept possessions. I mean, for a key defender, that is insane numbers, and that's numbers that will get you as a lock. Mark Keane, He was very, very good. He kept Eric Hipwood basically goalless. I think Eric didn't kick any, and he definitely had zero influence, Eric Hipwood again. And Mark Keane was terrific as he was the week prior. Josh Dacos got best on ground in the King's birthday game. But irrespective of that, I thought he was the best on ground anyway. And deserves about 34 disposals and a key impact off the halfback line for the Pies in his new role this year. Sam Taylor had about 16 intercept possessions. I mean, when you have an insane numbers like that as a key defender, intercept possessions, you just cannot be ignored. Nick Blakey had 34 in their big win over Richmond after quarter time. Nick Martin, Kayla, I mentioned him last week. He's a player for Essendon. I think he's their most informed player right now. 2 goals, 32 disposals, Kayla. You can't do much better than that.
I agree.
Definitely going very well. Now, Colby McKercher on the other wing, 34 disposals, and was a key part of the Roos comeback over West Coast. What a bizarre game that was. We're going to get to that very soon. But he was fantastic. Max Holmes had 40 disposals. I mean, I don't really have to say much more there. Ben Keys kicked 3 goals with 20 disposals. Kayla, is Ben Keys still giving you no nightmares? Delisted from Brisbane years ago, been at Adelaide, and been a lock every week. He's freaking killing it once he's moved to Adelaide.
Yeah, but I've noticed with him, every time he plays us, he plays amazing. But then I've noticed other times he's not so great. I know a lot of the Adelaide supporters are very hit and miss with him. But yeah, every time he plays us, he blows us out of the park. He's got a statement, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like a statement of being cut, I think. And it's like, well, it was never really getting a proper go at it. But hey, he's been a great steal for them. I'm not trying to rub it in, but it's a fact because he was cut. So they got him for free, and he's a regular player. Yeah, he might be hit and miss sometimes, but, I mean, considering they got him for nothing, literally nothing, I mean, it was, if it worked, it worked. It didn't, and absolutely it's worked. And being a key part on their side, in particular up forward over his Adelaide journey. Marby Old kicked 4 goals. I mean, Hawthorn did have a win over Bulldogs, and he kicked a few goals late when it was close, so that got him in the team, and there wasn't many other key forward standards, if being honest. Jack Ginnivan, the man who loves stirring people up, 2 goals and 23 touches, had another good game. That was a key part to their victory. Josh Rochelle, another one against Brisbane. He was very good. I think he kicked 3, had a lot of impact in the game as well. Tyson Stengel kicked 4 goals, and he kicked a lot of those late when in the last quarter it was basically even, effectively. Peter Wright kicked 3 goals with 10 disposals and 8 marks. Again, very light on for key forwards, but that's still a good game for a key forward. Tom de Koning was easily the best ruck this round. I didn't even bother checking the other ruck stats. He was too dominant over Goldie. He kicked a goal, had 24 disposals or something like that with 38 heels or so he deserved a disposal lock. Tom Green, best on ground in the Giants, loss over the Power. 34 disposals. He was elite with a lot of contested possessions, clearances, and tackles. Zach Butters was next best in that game for Port Adelaide, 32 disposals in their key contributor for why they beat the Giants in Canberra, who the Giants, as I said last week, have a terrible record in Canberra, and that continues. Liam Baker, now, he only had 20 disposals of the half-back line, but he had 12 intercept possessions, Kayla. I know they lost, but that doesn't matter when you're talking about individual performances. He was very, very good. And this is the rare thing for him. I think he had about 11 contested possessions of his 20, and normally his possessions aren't contested, so that's another key part as to why he was very good, and his efficiency was around 80-odd%, which just makes it even better, and decent metres gained. Harry Edwards, he kept Nick Larkey goalless, and not many people, Kayla, can keep Larkey goalless.
Yeah. And
you know what? With that, though, too, you don't normally go that many key defenders. If you notice, you got Barkley, Taylor, Keane, Howe in a way, and now Edwards. That looks stock heavy with key defenders, but then games are so damn dominant. It is almost very, very hard to leave out, and I've had to leave out one that's on the emergency list, which I've mentioned his name, Tom Stewart, already. Will Ashcroft, albeit the way you were saying there, but I thought he was really good. It was just disappointing for your side that you didn't win in the end, but he was really good with 30-odd disposals and had decent efficiency and contested possessions as well for Will. He's having a good year. Matt Kennedy, in the Bulldogs' loss to the Hawks, he was easily their best player. I could argue he was best on ground, to be honest. A goal, 29 disposals and key impact in the game, and he is the individual reason why the Bulldogs were anywhere near that game for the most part. Caleb Daniel, 29 disposals. He was part of their resurgence and why they actually won. And Jasper Fletcher at 27 disposals, did have a few turnovers, but again, he was the reason why Brisbane were in front for the time they were, and even when they were coming back at the end, he was a part of that crew. Bailey Dale was the next defender, Blake Eggers and Sam Walsh, and Jai Simpkin, who was the match winner in the end for North. Very stiff not to make it. He was next, and Tom Stewart was the next defender. So comment down below, ladies and gentlemen, what you think of that team down below. All right, Kayla. Now, it's always heavily debated, isn't it, doing Team of the Weeks? I love doing them. It creates conversation, and so we'll have to see. No Saints this week, because unfortunately we didn't play this week. Otherwise, we would have had 5 people in it. People get triggered when I put St Kilda plays in, but don't actually. It's you know what I find amazing? For so many people that want to criticise my Team of the Weeks, Keller, it's funny how they only criticise the Saints players I put in, no matter how good they were. Does that mean they like my team and they're only just shitting on it because there's Saints players in it and they just don't want to admit it?
That's what it's sounding like.
That's what it does. But anyway, that's Sooks online on the internet that have to make graphics and have to sook about it. But there you go. Right, so now let's go through my Supercoach talk. I want to bring this up because I sometimes forget. So I want to bring this up. So I scored in the bye rounds with a top 18. I scored 1945, which is really good. In the top 5% still. Now, I dropped about 600 to be exact in the rankings, but still in the top 5%. And having Jack McRae on the bench for 3 weeks in a row or 4 weeks in a row now, because of the bye rounds and situations and everything like that. He's back for the Saints this week, which is awesome. Filippo, unfortunately, will not. But having McRae on my team still will be an added bonus because a lot of people got rid of him, and I've still got him, and he's back this week. So an extra pre-rotate to my side. I've currently made 1 trade, and I'm not going to tell people what it is because I don't want people copying me, because every time I say it, someone just happens to copy. So I've made a trade this week or 2, and I've basically got 2 rookies left on my field, Sheldrick and Angus Clark. I may or may not have got rid of Levi now, Levi Ashcroft, that is, because of his break-even being 102. 102, Kayla. That's in Supercoach terms, you would have to probably get, in AFL terms, you would probably have to get either 25 disposals and high efficiency logic score involvements, or you'd probably have to get 30-something disposals to get 100. And if he scored a 60, which he's got the last few weeks, he'll plummet down like 20,000. And then the week after, it'll be something more, and then it just keeps going. So you got to get rid of it before they start losing your money, which is the whole reason you have these players, to make the money and then get rid of them once they've made their money. But maybe one day you'll get into Supercoach. You feel like one day you'll ever get into Supercoach?
I don't know. I just like watching everyone else do it at the moment. But yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Well, maybe there might be some competition over time. Had this been the start of the season, I reckon I might have convinced you. But anyway, here we go. Right. So that's my Supercoach. Comment down below your Supercoach thoughts and any advice you want. AFL Info Live on Insta as well. All right, Kayla, let's go review the round 13 games. I can't wait to talk about that North game. That was, I don't know what the hell you want to call that one in Bunbury. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Right, so the first game, which was on Thursday night at Marble Stadium, it was Hawthorn and the Bulldogs. Bulldogs 59, Hawthorn 81, Hawks by 22. Kayla, what happened here? I did say that the Hawthorn had to beat someone good to warrant beating a top 8 side. Technically, Bulldogs aren't in the 8, so they still haven't beaten a top 8 side. But a win's a win. And Bulldogs, well, probably got overconfident thinking they're just going to waltz in and win games, considering people reckon that they're a top 4 side, yet they're not even in the 8.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I thought Bulldogs were going to win.
It was an interesting one. I mean, Matt Kennedy, as I mentioned in the team of the week, he was really good. Ginnivan and Child were good for Hawthorn, and Weddle even as well. But I just felt like this game, I won't say the Bulldogs were never in it, but it just didn't look like they were winning it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it was Hawthorn were always in front.
Yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't a massive margin, but I feel like they could have got back, but it is what it is. Right, so the next game to go through, here we go. Adelaide 68, Brisbane 63. Kayla, I briefly mentioned off the top, 11 scoring shots, the last 10 minutes, 8 behinds, a smother from the shot from the boundary from a free kick to Dev Robinson, and then 2 Zach Bailey out in the full slash out of bounce shots. So 11 scoring shots in the last 10 minutes, 0 goals, 8 points, 3 misses completely. And then you lose by, what did I just say? It was 5 points. So just one of them work, or 2 technically if they're off the behinds. Just 1 or 2 of them work, you win. and you had the lead too.
No.
Sorry?
I know.
How frustrating is it? Not only being there, not only the weather, not only having the whole lead and then blow it late, but then having the opportunity 11 times to get back in it and then blow it 11 times. It's like rubbing it in a way.
It was so frustrating. Like, I honestly thought that the last 40 seconds, Zach was going to kick that goal. But yeah, we did it to ourselves, and we'll just bounce back this week against GWS at home.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to. Well, it's just simple as what you said. You just blew it. It simply blew it. I had the lead, lost it, then had 11 shots in 10 minutes and didn't convert any of them. And I could argue that probably 90% of those were very gettable. Yeah. Now, Dev Robinson obviously being the sub. He's been the sub now 3 weeks in a row. It's good to see him finally get in because he's one of those guys I feel like he's just like a midfielder or two injury away from getting picked. Got the opportunities the last 3 weeks, but unfortunately that big moment for him, he didn't capitalise it, and that may have cost him a spot in the side this week. Not just because of that alone, because he was a sub, and those players are generally on the fringe anyway and potentially going to be dropped regardless of how you went. And then having that moment probably doesn't help his cause either.
Nah, I love Dev, but I don't feel like we're going to get him in the team this week because I believe 3 of our boys are back to play. So Sam Day, Big O, and Brandon Sass are back. Yeah, but
and Darcy Gardner.
True, yeah, him as well. So yeah, I feel like they'll utilise them now, and then just use one of them as a sub. Obviously not Big O, but they might even rest Big O again. It just depends on Thursday and what happens with the main training. Okay,
you must not have seen the update then from a few hours ago. I don't know which Brisbane player it was that was speaking. Jared Berry, I think it was, your mate. He's not confident that he's back anytime soon. He said hopefully have him back later in the year.
Because I was just before I came on here, I read from someone posted on the Brisbane Lions fan page that Brisbane Lions have said that he's most likely coming back this week. But okay.
Well, hopefully right at the back half of the year. Well, technically we are in the back half in a way. But the quote from that article I read it's on the AFL app, wasn't that convincing at all. And he's been nursing this injury and they just can't get that next step for him. And they keep saying they're naming him emergency lately. So I'm a bit confused with the time. It's like, if he's not ready, then why are they putting in an emergency? And then some people were saying, oh, maybe because if Darcy Fort goes out, they'll put him in. But that doesn't make sense. If he's not ready, why are they naming him emergency? And then he's not played VFL entire time of being an emergency. So obviously he's struggling with the injury, but then why is he an emergency? It's a bit confusing.
That is. Like, I don't understand that because, he even flew to Adelaide to be an emergency. And
he was there, was he? There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, him, Luke Beacon, and someone else. Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Now, this is something I haven't told you before. Tom Duday is someone I've known very well for a long time. Obviously, a recruit you got last year, done his ACL, unfortunately, in the pre-season. His second ACL in his AFL career. Been there for 8 years now. He's the same age. He's a year older than me. And he's in the been in for 9 years, which is just amazing to think of. Unfortunately, hasn't made a debut yet. He's been in the VFL coming back from that ACL for 5 weeks now, I think. Is it time they give him a go? Because he is a leader and he was floated as a future captain for Adelaide when he was there. And he was a regular and Brisbane picked him up to be a regular. Hasn't quite got in yet. Do you see a point where he may come into that side in some way?
I think because we've got a lot of defenders and obviously with Jack Payne and Harris Andrews just like being our key defenders, I don't see him coming in unless one of them are injured or they're resting one of them. Purely for because Stas is coming back too. So it's like we've got a lot of defenders and but I'll give it to the Adelaide crowd. On the weekend, they actually gave us Tom's face, like, because you know how they've got those massive faces.
Yes.
They gave us Tom's face for in the cheer squad, which was really nice of them to give us.
So you're out in the open, were you, in the front row area?
I wasn't personally because it was way too cold, so I went up the back. I had quite a few
so.
tickets, so I was trying to work out where I wanted to sit because it was way too cold. But I did. Barbara, our cheer squad leader, let us know that we got given it.
Oh, nice, very good. But that's fair enough. But yeah, we talked about the Essendon game that you want to set and forget. Well, obviously this one, for a different reason, is one you want to forget as well. And I'll happily let you now forget it because we'll move on to the next one, which is Richmond and Sydney, 36-80, 44 points for the Swans. Are they back? I don't think so. But Richmond, I know they're in the side of the rebuild, so I can understand bad losses at big quantity. But wouldn't you be really annoyed that you were leading at quarter time, then didn't score a goal till the last 10 minutes of the game?
Yep.
Having that whole basically 3/4 of nothing.
Yep.
And the best opportunity to get Sydney with their backs against the wall, having getting slaughtered 2 weeks in a row and in embarrassing fashion themselves. And then, yeah, young side or not, but they had the lead. So then there wasn't that excuse for when they were leading. But now that's an excuse, not by the Richmond themselves, by fans and that. It's like, oh, they're a young side. This is your best opportunity to beat Sydney. You were in front at quarter time, had the same players at quarter time in the first quarter they had for the other three, and blew it. It's not that they lost. It's how they lost, and they didn't effectively score a goal until last 5 so minutes. Not good.
I know. Yeah.
But it is what it is. The Swans, Heaney and Co were pretty good. I know they're missing a few players like Gordon and Papley and Co, but still doesn't excuse, I guess, how they play. But for this game, though, after quarter time, they were great. Brodie Grundy in great form yet again. Right, the next game to go through was the game in Geelong. Geelong 61, Gold Coast 37. Shit show, but in terms of weather, that probably obviously doesn't help. But then in the last quarter, Stengel kicked a few goals and put it away in a way. Disappointing for Gold Coast because I thought this was a prime opportunity to beat them as well. And, well, they didn't either.
Yeah, it was quite sad. I felt for Gold Coast, but they just didn't turn up.
You feel bad for a lot of those interstate sides. Do you feel bad for St Kilda?
Nah, I do to a degree. But I guess Victorian teams are very much favoured. So, but St Kilda, I must say, they're not. Yeah, I was going to say St Kilda are probably one of them, and probably even the Bombers in a way. They're both kind of not as favoured as like the higher.
Yeah, the Geelong, Bulldogs.
Geelong, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Right. The next game to go through, actually, might I add, Noah Anderson too has not suffered any bad rib injuries. So that's really good to see, but still doesn't excuse why Tom Stewart didn't get reprimanded and at least have a valid excuse. That reason they had was piss poor. All right, the next game to go through is GWS and Pole. Kayla, what an upset. GWS 50, Pole 66. Now, I did say, and I've said this on many platforms and many times, Canberra doesn't go well with the Giants, and well, that horror streak at Canberra continues. And Power, good win.
Yeah, I was really shocked though. Like, yes, I get that. Like, GWS don't have a good run in Canberra, but like, I was still really shocked. I actually had GWS to win, so when I saw it, I was like, no.
Yeah, it was a bit of it was a surprise because I had that Canberra record in my mind. I thought, but GWS have been a bit hot and cold lately, and I mean, I've been one to stick up for them and say they're still a top 4 side, and they still are. But they're making it hard for themselves to finish in that position now. Tom Green, best on ground easily again. Zach Butters and Connor Rosie were good for the Power. Christian Moraes kicked his first AFL goal for Port Adelaide as a sub this week. Kicked it late, which was an important time for them. Jack Buckley was very good. Now, Lockie Whitfield, Keller. I rip into Clarko for having Harry Sheets all over the place in terms of positioning. McWalter with West Coast, so I'm going to get to them when we get to that game, so I'll leave it for now. With positional changes and stuff-ups and everything. But why is Lockie Whitfield one of the best halfbacks in the comp playing half forward? And a lot of time there now, magically, the last 3 weeks. And they've been losing now. Isn't that a sign to put him back in his spot where he's succeeding in? He can succeed anywhere, but his best spot for him and the team is halfback.
You'd think so, but I mean, coaches have their own way of thinking, and obviously he doesn't, they don't think that it's the right spot.
It's a weird one, but anyway. All right, Sunday. Here we go. North Melbourne 62, West Coast 52. Now, you'd read that scoreline if you didn't watch the game and you were living under a rock. You'd say, whatever, two bottom sides, close, good for them. Not the worst score in the world. Absolute shit show for the whole range of reasons, Kayla. Now, people are putting this as a contender for the worst game of the year. I wouldn't say it's the worst game of the year. I would say it's the worst shots of goals of the year. And we just had Brisbane do what they did. We just had Melbourne do what they've done all year. But West Coast, Jesus Christ. Did you see the stat at inside 50s at halftime, Kayla? Did you see the number or not? They were plus 30. I think it might have been 35 or something. I don't know the exact number. It was plus 30 inside 50s more than North. And they were like 1 goal 13 at one point in the game. 1 goal 14. And a lot of them were easy. So we talk about Brisbane's bad in action, and yes, they still were in that moment. But West Coast, what the hell was that? The dominance they had, Kelly. It's not just the points. The dominance of 30 plus unheard of in a half, 30 plus more inside 50s, and you lost. What the hell?
Yeah. I feel
it just makes me more annoyed. Yeah, it makes me more annoyed that we lost to the same team that's doing this. And then, to top it all off, they started to be a bit more accurate in the second half. They got like 5 goals 4 or something for the second half. And I thought, okay. The North went bang, 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 and Jai Simpkins goal late, the sealer, the man who's been through it all. Kane Corns would be pissed because he hates Jai Simpkin. Remember, that's why he got his ban. It was led by Jai Simpkin, and Harry Sheasel comments. And Jai Simpkin with the match-winning goal. Kane was whinging about Simpkin when he shushed the Essendon crowd when they ended up losing before that. I haven't heard Kane's comments about Jai Simpkin's game. Pretty good game, and won him the game. No shushing. Kane's shushed because he's not saying nothing as of right now. As this is recording, we're basically Monday night, and he said nothing. So I find that a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
But yes, Jai Simpkin was very good. Liam Baker for the Eagles was awesome. Tristan Cherry in the ruck was dominant over the Eagles duo of Flynn and Williams again. But yeah, he was very good. I thought Sheasel played his part, but Clarko, stop playing him in the back line. Stop playing him in the forward line, playing in the halfback. But I don't have him now in Supercoach. It doesn't really matter. Now, I don't know what you feel like, Kayla. What do you feel about, I think we've kind of mentioned this over the last few episodes, but what do you feel about a debutant or a first-year player in their first few games, or in particular their first game, being a sub on debut? Do you hate it? Do you think they should avoid it? Every club, that is.
It's not fair because they're sending the families up as well to watch their kids perform, and they're only watching like maybe 10 minutes or so of someone playing, and it's just not fair. I feel like if they're going to debut, they need to do it for the full game, and then even sub them out later on if you have to. But like, give them a go at the start.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, if an injury happens and it happens to be halftime, then you go, well, okay, kind of. But you never know something like that's going to happen. Now, Andrew McWalter, I've ripped him all year, and rightfully so, for doing he's Supercoach, screwing my Supercoach team over McWalter. Bo Allen, who I've had, he played, took him like 5 weeks to get a game, Bo Allen, then wrongfully got suspended for a week. And he's a sub in his debut game. He's now played his third game on the weekend, and round his second game, and now on the weekend, his third game, he was the sub all 3 games. And this week and last week when he was the sub, Kayla, he came on in the last 5 minutes for both games. Now, Andrew McWalter last night to Ryan Daniels of 7 Perth Media finally admitted that he's done wrong of Bo and he probably shouldn't have handled it that way. What I had to laugh with, Kayla, get a load of this. McWalter admitted to making the mistake. I mean, you don't have to justify it. I just thought it was bad that he'd done it. Not because it was Bo Allen, not because he was on my Supercoach team, not because he was a first-year player. Just generally putting someone on weeks in a row for 5 minutes is bizarre. But what's funny is Andrew McWalter, and I quote, "I am still learning how to use the sub." You don't have to be a coach or a head coach. McWalter was at Melbourne recently when there's been years of the sub. He was probably playing 10 years ago when the sub was there. What do you mean you're adjusting to it? You don't have to be the head coach to know how the sub works. Like, I had to laugh at that. I'm going, mate, yes, you've been head coach only this year, but that rule's been there when you've been an assistant coach. You've been in the meetings when everything like that is, debated and everything. You're in the conversations. I thought it was laughable. And then the individual one of Bo Allen. I don't get it. Tom Gross, who has been in now, young player for them, subbed out. Ryan Marrick subbed out. Clay Hall, sub, out, gone for 5 weeks, back, sub, out for 3 weeks. It's bizarre how he's used it. Role changes. Jack Hutchison, midfielder, should be playing forward. Harley Reid, before the first 10 weeks, was playing halfback for some weird reason. Tywell Dua is now taking Ryan Marrick's spot, a halfback who was doing well there. Now he's playing on the wing. So many bizarre positional changes, and no wonder they're losing. Settle your team in the one spot. Oscar Allen was playing as a key defender for 5 weeks. Now the last 2 weeks, goes back as a key forward and does well. Funny that. A key forward does well as a key forward, not a key back. Funny that. That's probably a key part to why they've lost a lot of games. And now, we weren't on here when this happened, Kayla, and I'm sure you'd remember this very well. Brisbane played West Coast. They were beating you for 3 quarters. They almost won that, and I felt bad for them because they had beaten you basically for 3 quarters, and then you got them late. Were you worried that game? And that was at home too, off memory.
Yeah.
Memory.
I was not happy, that's for sure.
Were you shitting bricks there?
Yeah, because we're expecting to win by over like 40 points, and then we're looking at it like, what's going on?
I thought you had it, and then I can't remember if I was going to the Saints game when that last quarter was on, but I felt bad. I'm like, oh, damn. It's, in the position they were, because they copped a lot of criticism as a club around that time, and they still copped it weeks after that. So I felt bad for them. I thought, that was the one. Just how they lost it was just one. Like, they kind of folded a little bit the last 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes in your game. But again, that was probably another game for you. You were trying to set and forget, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's quite a few this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say the last 2 weeks have been that. The whole range of reasons. Now, the second last game, Carlton 78, Essendon 70, Carlton by 8 points. Now, people say that Carlton were in full control. I don't agree that they were like always winning. I had someone tell me they were always winning. I feel like Essendon were just short from one little moment from flipping the script. I feel like they were just like hanging on edge. They're hanging on to something and they're just teetering on, like they're falling, and they've got the edge of the ruler or something. I don't know why I'm saying a ruler. I'm just trying to think of an object. It's holding the edge of the ruler, and they're that close from getting a full grasp of that ruler. And I feel like they were that close from winning too. And they had opportunities late, Kayla, and then a few key mistakes, and they blew it. But I feel like they weren't that bad. Do you think? How would you assess this game? Because I feel like Essendon weren't that bad, and I don't think Carlton were bad either. I feel like it could have gone either way, and if there's a little thing, it could have gone to Essendon's favour.
Yeah, no, I think it was a pretty even game in a way. Yes, Carlton were winning, but Essendon weren't backing down either. And I was watching Dan Gorringe and how he was full excited about Carlton winning, and then the last 5 or so minutes he was like, I can't deal with this club. Like he was freaking out. But yeah, they ended up winning just, and but I thought Bombers had it.
Yeah, Sam Walsh and George Hewitt and Tom De Koning and a few other players in that midfield brigade. Not Paddy Cripps. Paddy Cripps was terrible again. 14 disposals. Now, I know and I understand they're never going to drop the captain, but gee, you'd have to be talking about him either having a week off, because he's been terrible, and not just for his standards. Even if he was a fringe player, he's been terrible. What do you think of his forms? I don't think it's good. And I've said this before when you've been on here. I don't think it's been good at all.
Yeah, not at all. He's not played up to standard of what he used to play, that's for sure. I feel like, ever since he's become a dad, I think his priorities are definitely elsewhere at the moment. Yeah,
it's maybe it's a week off. Maybe that'll do the better for him, because it's quite bizarre how he's performing at the moment. And even though they won, which is probably a positive thing that they won without him doing anything, but also a negative when they're losing. That'll be the centerpiece of the chat. Now, speaking of a close game, Melbourne 71, Collingwood 72. Yesterday at the MCG, 1 point to the Pies. Now, I know you're probably itching at the bit to say, you haven't told me you're going to say this, but I know you're going to, because you mentioned them in little drive-bys. Now, umpiring in this game was a disgrace for a whole range of reasons. So I just want to address the two Melbourne incidents, all right? Whether you agree with the rule is a different topic. The Nick Dacos 50-metre penalty he got from Xavier Lindsay off the mark. Now, I think that rule is shit, especially in that example that he moved backwards on the muck. He didn't go forward. He didn't go sideways. He went backwards. So I don't see how that's impacting the player's shot at goal or kick. Because for starters, Dacos wasn't even ready to kick it at that point. So I don't get why that was a problem. But the rule is there. Hence the stand name, right? So that was 50. So I had Melbourne people bitching at me going, because it's Dacos he got. I'm like, no, learn the rule. You've got to stand on it. The rule is shit. I don't like the rule. I agree that the rule is garbage, but the rule is my point. And then the other one, there was a Melbourne player that bumped someone or something, but there was one I'll be on their side for. It was when Darcy Moore shoved Melksham into, I think it was Jeremy Howe, and Moore shoved Melksham into Howe, and Collingwood got the free for it when, because see, if the umpire was blindsided, you could have assumed that Melksham was kind of blocking Darcy Moore's run at the ball, but that's not what happened. But there was another Dacos one. Now, Caleb, I don't know if you recall this one. It was on the boundary on Langdon where Dacos got a free for pushing the back. His hand was on his back, but he never shoved him. What are you going to say to that one and the stand one?
No, it's always free kick Dacos. Well, I've got to say, it's not fair. Like, they really should be consistent with the free kicks and whatnot, and not just like target certain individuals and be like, yeah, we'll make sure this person has a really good game, and just like give them the ball all the time. But all I'm going to say with this close game was Melbourne were robbed.
Oh, gee. See, some of the people that I have in my live streams or just talk to in general, one of them is a Melbourne fan, and let's just say they keep a vested interest in this channel, this podcast episode in particular, every week. So they'll probably love that you said that. Now, you're going to have to give me to find a way where I can't say that now, because they'll say, oh, see, Pamela said it. So anyway, they were harshly done by, but I think Collingwood had a few as well. Now, granted, Melbourne were probably screwed over a little bit more than Collingwood were, but there was a few each way. As for the stand rule, Kayla, though, the rule is there, though. Stand means stand, and Lindsay didn't. The rule is shit. I get that, but that rule is there. Now, the game as a whole was a pretty good game. Credit to Melbourne for being in the game the whole way through. But Collingwood got it done, and 4 points, it says on the scoreboard, on the ladder, and Melbourne get nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. You love Collingwood, don't you? And you love Nick Dacos.
Yeah,
but what I will say, we'll go with that. What I will say, and this is not defending Nick Dacos, well, I mean, it's a Dacos example again, but Ed Langdon's tactics for how he was tagging him, and this has been a key topic. I think you might have mentioned this with Lockie Neal or someone in the past. I swear you have. Might be wrong. But certain big name players get tagged in a different way, like a way that's like, for example, Collingwood as a whole aren't happy how Dacos is getting treated in terms of being tagged. So like how they're going about it, whether it's jumper punching, elbowing in the gut, like how they're tagging them, like they're just holding them, so they're stopping them from going. From the tagging as a whole, Dacos is the example because that's one that's come up recently. But as a whole, do you feel like the umpires need to do a better job at watching the players getting tagged, no matter who the name is? Because I feel like they're kind of the ones getting punished for it, because the tagger does something to them and they're like kind of bumping them back, and then the umpire actually pays it against them when it's starting somewhere else and they do nothing beforehand.
Yeah. I feel like the umpires really need to be aware about the tagging, because some of the tagging is pretty horrible.
All right. So before we get into previewing round 14, which is the last thing we'll go through our tips for this week, Luke Beveridge, the coach of the Bulldogs. Now, I've been a harsh critic of his for a long time. They've started better this year, but the fact is they're not in the 8. Now, when St Kilda re-signed Brett Ratton, Kayla, a few years back when he got sacked, I said at the time, it was a stupid call re-signing Brett Ratton mid-year when we're in the same position as Bulldogs right now. You know, you get a few wins and like, now this was technically official last week, but they only announced it today, but officially for 2 more years for Beveridge on top of this year. So to the end of 2027. But why are they rushing contracts for coaches? Like, he's either leaving because he just wants to leave, or you can sign him at the end of the year or towards the end. Like, I don't know if you agree or not, but I feel like he's been there a long time. They aren't guaranteed to make finals right now. St Kilda were in the same position when they signed Brett Ratton, and they sacked him 100 days later and brought Ross in. And considering he's been there for a long time, do you feel like they needed to rush this? Because coaches can't get poached mid-year. So why is they rushing for?
I don't know. It makes no sense.
And I don't think it's a right move, period, let alone rushing it. That's another part to it. But it is what it is. I don't care. It doesn't affect St Kilda, but they'll be complaining. What if they do what St Kilda did that year and don't end up making finals after rushing the contract extension? The Bulldogs fans who have been at him all year before this year, sack him, get rid of him, blah, 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 and rightfully so, because his time was up and they weren't going well the year prior. I don't get why they're rushing. Hey, if they have another St Kilda scenario where they sack him at the end of the year and they make regretting it, well, joke's on them now because they'll have to pay him out. So they've now signed him, so they have to pay him out in some way. Whether they agree to partial or the whole, it's another story, but that's on them, and that's a rush decision that didn't need to be rushed. So here we go. Look at that. Did you see that? Bang. Bang. Right. So let's wrap up with the tips for round 14. Both our sides are back. So that's good. And it starts with my side Thursday night at Marvel Stadium. It's the Saints hosting the Bulldogs at 7:30 Victorian time, Kayla. What I add, it is one of my favourite players' milestone games, not Filippo, who unfortunately will not be playing this week, is Jack Sinclair, one of 4 Scoops medal winners. Jack Sinclair plays game 200, a guy who started on the rookie list, a silky mover, an elite player, one of the best halfbacks in the comp right now, can push through the midfield. When he goes in there, he makes damages. He roves the packs really well. A dangerous small forward pack when he started, Kayla. So to see the rise of Jack Sinclair, I think he's a 2-time All-Australian right now. Should be 3 after this year, hopefully. But the AFL is rigged, so it wouldn't shock me if he's not, due to that reason alone. But Sinclair, fantastic player, a great guy. I've got to meet him once or twice, which is good. Great player, and hopefully we can get up for the occasion for Sinks' 200th. Now, a fun fact, well, it's not really a fun fact, but it's a fact. St Kilda players, when they have milestone games, Kayla, we rarely win. Of the last 5 years, I reckon, let's just throw a random number and say there's been 20 milestone games. I reckon we've won maybe 3 or 4. So that doesn't bloody help. We've got a decent milestone game because we generally don't win. And Bulldogs are our bogey side, and we unfortunately got beaten badly by them only 6 or 8 weeks ago. And that's another question as well, why we're playing them that quick when you haven't played some sides once. Who you got? I'm going to hope that we can bounce back against them from last time. I feel like when we were close with them last time, it was around the 3-goal range. We'll make a little comeback. A few dodgy calls went their way, got it to 5-6 goals, and then it just went worse from there. Hopefully that doesn't happen this time. I'll go the Saints because I always am going to, or almost every time. I'll go the Saints by 5 points. Kayla, where are you going here?
You're not going to like it. I'm going for the doggies. I'm going for the doggies by 7 points.
7, okay. Well, I don't know if I'd really like that either, but anyway. Now, Friday night in Tassie, 7:40 Vic time in Launceston, is the Hawks and the Crows. Kayla, who you got here?
I have Hawks, but that's because Hawks seem to play pretty well in Tassie, and yep. I don't think Crows will be up. Yeah, I just don't see Crows beating Hawks there.
Fair enough. Now, I wanted to stress enough, I did not mention the exact time. 7:30 the Saints game is on Thursday night, 7:40 for this Hawks game in Tassie. I'm going the Crows by 6 points in this one. I don't have as much faith in Hawthorn as you do. Now, the next games to go through are the Saturday games, and we'll start off with what the hell? The next game to go through on Saturday starts with the next game to talk about is Brisbane hosting the Giants Saturday 1:20. Kayla, I'm sure you'll be there cheering on the team. This is not one of your other teams that you like as well, is it? Soft spot for GWS? Okay. No second, not third team? No, okay. Well, Brisbane and the Giants we know who you want to win, probably who you'll think will win. How's this going to go?
Oh, Brisbane. I'm never going to tip against them, ever. I'd say Brisbane, but I reckon it won't be a nail biter, but I definitely don't reckon it will be a thrashing either. So I would say Brisbane by maybe by 3 goals.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go Brisbane by 10 points. It's going to sound stupid after Jeter has just lost support, but they don't play well in Canberra. The Giants are going to be consistently bad. They're going to win eventually. And Brisbane haven't been great at all, as we've established the last hour, in the last 3 weeks, really. Except for that first time you came on and you won easily. But the last two, not so great. So they're in vulnerable positions. So are GWS. It's kind of down the middle. Both are good sides at their best, easily, clearly. I'll go Brisbane by 10, but this could go either way for me. Essendon and Geelong 4:15 at the MCG on Saturday Victorian time. Kayla, who you got here? Is Essendon going to win or Geelong going to get protected?
Geelong.
How much?
Geelong. By 12 points.
12 points. All right, and I'll go. Unfortunately, I don't really like either side, if I'm being honest, but Geelong, unfortunately, by 18 points, but I'll happily see them lose and have a good laugh at it, because that'd be great. All right, the other game, Saturday night at Optus Stadium in Perth, North Melbourne. Yes, North Melbourne hosting a game in Perth against Fremantle, part of their agreement. They're selling home games to the home state teams at home for them being the home team. It's all about the money, money, money. I told you last week, it's all about the money. They're playing Freo now in Perth, not at Bunbury, but at Optus Stadium, 7:35 p.m. Victorian time. Kayla, who you got here?
I got Freo because it's their home ground.
I got Freo by 20. What's your margin?
12.
12. Okay. All right. Sunday games. First one of the two. Adelaide and Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval, 3:20 Victorian time. Who you got here?
Melbourne. Melbourne by 24.
24. I'm going the Power. I don't know why. I'm going the Power. I'm going to go to the Power by, I was going to say 11. Yeah, no, screw it. Yeah, 11 points. Go to the Power by 11 points. I don't know where this is going. And the final game to end round 14 is at Optus Stadium. 6:10 Victorian time. It's the Eagles hosting the Blues. Are the Eagles a chance? Are they a chance?
I don't see it. I've got Carlton for at least 18 points. It'll be close, but yeah, I reckon Carlton.
I don't know why I'm going to do this. I think I may have tipped Carlton on my actual tipping thing, but on here I'm changing it. I'm going the Eagles in an upset by 1 point. McWalter has said that Bo Allen will not be subbed this week, so he's learned from that mistake. One thing, Andrew, do not take him out of the team. Play him in the starting team and keep him there. Bring in Tom Gross, please and thank you, and everything like that, and it will just be sweet. Right. I'm going the Eagles by a point. Now, the 4 teams, Kayla, that have the bye are Collingwood, Richmond, Sydney, and Gold Coast. But yeah, that's all we have for us this evening. Kayla, it's been a pleasure having you on yet again, as per always. And may the best team win for both our sides this week. Hopefully we don't get screwed over through something. Hopefully no injuries. Hopefully no bullshit suspensions. Thank you for coming on. And before we go, for anyone listening, if you know any AFL, AFLW players, any state league players, and you'd like to see them on the channel in a Goal King challenge or an interview or both, please do send me a message on Insta at AFL Info Live and we'll get something sorted. Kayla, been a pleasure having you on. Good luck for the Lions this week and hopefully my Saints get the win too. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Scoops.
No worries.